It's Fabio and welcome back to another beautiful day here on the channel, guys. We're going to be diving into the major dollar pairs and of course gold. But first of all, I want to say a massive thank you to every single one of you for your support. Either if you've been a subscriber for years, months, just days, you being here just means the world to me, and thank you again for that. It means so much that you guys are subscribed to this channel, and what we're building is just literally unreal, unheard of in the entire industry. So let's keep on growing together, and without further ado, let's just dive into today's market outlook. By the way, we're going live for the New York session here on YouTube as well, so make sure to join that as well. Now we're going to start off with EURUSD, because EURUSD itself has been pretty consolidative on the lower time frame. On the weekly time frame, it is still pretty clear to me what the overall objective is. What we can see here is that we got a weekly fractal structure break. Now what I want to explain to you guys is that after seeing this overall impulse in towards the downside, we saw two little pullbacks in that overall impulse. Okay, so we saw little impulse or little pullback one, and then little pullback number two, and then a push down in towards where this liquidity low. We grab liquidity, and then from there we start seeing a reversal back in towards the highs. Now whenever you see an overall impulse in towards the downside, you're always obviously going to be looking for some form of continuation at some point in time, also in towards the downside. Now, what you need to understand is that in order for the market to push in a certain direction, in my humble opinion, it needs liquidity. So there are always going to be one or two easy points to spot or identify liquidity, and that is from a little bump in the road. So a little bump in the road could be this high over here, and the second little bump in the road, so this is the first one, could be above this supply zone over here. As you can see, little bump in the road, little bump in the road, and little bump in the road, I just refer to a small or minor pullback in the overall impulse. So those are two kind of like highs that I have my eyes on set for EURUSD next before looking for a real correction down. Now EURUSD itself is kind of stuck inside of this weekly box over here. However, if I focus on the fractal structure itself, here I see the fractal break, meaning, and fractal break is just market structure break. And why is that the market structure? Well, we saw the push down, pullback, push down. We broke market structure over here on that bullish candlestick, and then we saw a strong push up, breaking the high that broke this previous low. Then we saw a retracement down, and now we're seeing that upside continuation, and we're just looking for the continuation in towards at least this liquidity high of around 1.06300. Now, what we can then say here is that the overall weekly fractal is bullish, and that is in between this low and this high. Therefore, on the weekly time frame, for me, it's clear we're looking for further upside. Then I go down in towards the daily. So what are we seeing on the daily time frame? Well, on the daily time frame, we can very clearly see that we're just squeezing and consolidating. Nothing is happening, guys. I am therefore simply just waiting. Overall, I must say, guys, that this seems to be the break of structure over here on the daily. This seems to be the swing high, and this is the swing low. We made a retracement all the way back up in towards premium, and we are now seeing the highs get swept and then straight away retracement. So here we got highs swept, and then we see the push down. Here we swept the high, and again we're seeing the push down or consolidation. But I'm waiting, guys. I'm waiting for a clear direction at this point in time on EU, because what I want to see is I want us to see breaking out of this range. Do you want to see shorts? Then I personally would be waiting for us to break in towards the downside out of this box. Or do we want to see longs? Then we just need to break this high again, or these highs, and then for me it will be very, very clear that we're going to at least grab this liquidity high over here and potentially even see a push up higher into, for example, this buy before the sell over here. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for at the moment. I'm waiting for us to break out of this box, because as well on the lower time frame, being the 4 hour, you can very clearly see that EURUSD is just literally a roller coaster. We push up, then we push down, then we push up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Like, it's literally just a range. So there's not much to do with it at the moment, and therefore I'm staying out. I identified that we have equal lows over here, kind of like trend line that we're now currently seeing a bounce on. But for now, we more over just kind of like grab liquidity above this high over here, which we formed on Tuesday. We grabbed the liquidity, then we formed this area of supply, and that could push now the market down lower to grab those equal lows again. But again, then maybe if we grab the equal lows, we'll see a reversal back up again. So that's why I'm staying out of EURUSD at the moment. I'm focusing more on the other major dollar pairs. So if I then look at the dollar index is also a little bit confusing in the sense that we just have a clean level of support and resistance over here, which is holding and preventing the market from pushing any higher. Now, yesterday we saw a sell-off again on the dollar index in the last 4 hours or this morning, and there were multiple reasons for that. By the way, the reason why EURUSD is moving so choppy again is because once again there was a decision on tariffs on the EU to be set at 25%, and there was also an announcement that, let me see here, that Trump said Canada and Mexico tariffs are going to go into effect on April 2nd. But then again, what I saw here was that the Mexican peso and Canadian dollar get a boost after Trump once again delays tariffs. So now if you look at, for example, USD MXN, so that's US dollar against the Mexican peso, again, you can see some further downside push here on the 4-hour time from yesterday with this supply zone over here holding up. So there's a lot of uncertainty going on with all of these pairs, to be honest, and it's making it extremely hard to trade the dollar pairs in a good and easy way. We can, for example, just if you look at USD CAD over here, see how choppy it has moving or has been moving overall, and this is now also starting to reflect on these other major dollar pairs. Now, going into the dollar index, I'm just simply waiting, guys, waiting for the 4-hour to show its hand. Overall, I understand a lot of you are maybe looking for somewhat of some more upside with this kind of like squeezing price action in towards downside. Personally, I'm still fundamentally bearish on the dollar, and I would still like to see 105.420 happen, which is a weekly bump in the road. Again, if we zoom out a bit, what we can then see here is this, where we have the overall weekly fractal structure in control. Here, weekly high break, here, weekly low break, here, weekly low break, and therefore this is now your weekly area of supply over here, right? So this is your buy before the sell on the weekly time frame. So I am personally looking for further shorts still on the dollar as long as the weekly fractal structure holds and the weekly supply zone holds. So that is still going to be this overall high over here. As long as that holds, I'm still expecting that downside on the dollar index. But obviously on the lower time frame, with the market structure being so choppy, it could still, for example, push up higher again into, let's say, this supply zone over here that we just see kind of like this push up and then, for example, push down. That is also perfectly possible. We also have a daily supply zone over here, which is still open. We could also just push up in towards there and then see another sell-off. So for me, it's a little bit unclear at the moment what the dollar wants to do from a technical perspective, just because there's not a lot of momentum in it at the moment. But I do know, okay, supply is in control on the weekly, supply is in control on the daily. Now looking at the 4-hour, we can see that we're consolidating, and pretty much as I mentioned yesterday, we need to break these lows if we want to see that further downside. We need to break these highs if we want to see that further upside. So for me, it's just a waiting game until we break out of that box. Now, going into AUDUSD, AUDUSD saw a major dump in towards the downside. Now, we are currently at a level of interest for myself. I'm personally looking for longs now on AUDUSD. Overall, we retraced in towards this daily sell before the buy here. We grabbed the internal liquidity, what it seems to be over here. We've now made a connection with a prior area of demand, which we had not yet tapped into. And what I'm now waiting for is to see if we get a lower time frame trend reversal. Quickly going into the weekly time frame, the reason that I'm looking for longs is because of the weekly fractal structure. That is currently bullish. This here is the sell before the buy up. This for me should push the market up higher on the weekly time frame, back up in towards this little bump in the road over here, which I view as liquidity, but is also overall the 50% of the overall impulse down. Okay, so that's why I'm looking for another push up on AUDUSD. So I use the weekly time frame first of all to understand that I want to see that higher price action. Then I go in towards the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, I then identify, okay, what is my demand zone? Where's my liquidity? Here we have a demand zone, and what my liquidity is then this internal low over here. This for me is just a fake demand zone, and we take out that internal low, and now I'm looking for that further upside once again. Now, how do we understand that further upside is then going to come into the markets? Well, if we look at the 4-hour time frame, we can first of all very clearly see that the overall fractal structure has been holding and pushing the market down lower. Here we had a supply zone, then once again here we had a supply zone, then once again here we had a supply zone, and we can see that the market is chopping down lower and lower. At the moment, we're situated inside of this buy before the sell imbalance over here, and what I'm now waiting for is for 4-hour bullish order flow to be created and just simply copy this but then back up again. But I'm not going to go long on AUDUSD until we see that fractal structure shift happen. So yes, we are in weekly demand, we are in daily demand, but we do now need to see, and we're also in 4-hour demand, by the way, inside of these 2 wicks, but now we do need to see the next leg up happen with a fractal structure shift, which is on this high break over here, and preferably I'll be looking for a double fractal structure shift, so a double structure shift, and then I'll be happy to get into those potential longs here on AUDUSD, back up in towards a new higher high. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for AU. I'm personally not looking for shorts anymore here on AU due to the fact that we're in daily and weekly demand. Going into GBPUSD, we can see that GBPUSD is still holding very strong, but again, as well, pretty messy, guys. We're seeing this corrective ascending price action, nothing really too clean. Going into the weekly time frame, first of all, we can obviously see that the weekly time frame is bullish. GU is actually holding as one of the more stronger pairs. We still have this weekly untouched area of demand. Just keep that in mind. On the weekly time frame, we are fractal bullish from this low all the way down here in towards this high over here after breaking this internal structure. So what we saw was a push down, a pullback, a push down, and now we're seeing the push up. So yes, there could be a potential pullback and then another continuation, or GU could just continue up higher in towards that weekly little bump in the road, which is my next target for it, and that weekly area of supply as well. Now, to understand if we're going to get that pullback or if we're just going to continue up higher, just simply use and follow the daily fractal structure. So on the daily fractal structure, we can see that at this point in time, this here is now my low. This is the low because it broke this high over here, and we should continue up higher as long as the low holds. Okay, so this is now just the demand that is in control, and ultimately we can just keep on looking for longs in towards that weekly swing high. If that daily fractal structure low breaks, then I'll be looking to take out these equal lows and see a retracement back down in towards its daily area of demand. Okay, so that's what I'm looking there. Otherwise, we could just continue chopping up higher. So if you're looking for shorts, wait for that daily fractal structure shift to happen. If you're looking for longs, now is still the time with the daily fractal structure that is bullish. And then also on the 4-hour time frame, again, yesterday, some nice price action actually. I kind of underestimated it, but we had a very nice area of 4-hour demand here, which reacted with or interacted with a previous area of 4-hour demand. So we had an order flow continuation, right? So we can see that here, this demand zone pushed the market up higher again. We create a new demand zone. We have this internal liquidity low, which I mentioned in yesterday's video. And then from there, boom, we see a V-shaped reversal in towards the highs. Now, the market has currently pushed back down in towards this area of demand over here, and it's now looking for that upside continuation again. So the 4-hour fractal structure is bullish. The daily fractal structure is bullish. The weekly fractal structure is bullish. So there's still a lot of signs that we could see that upside continuation from GU. Personally, I think that once we break above pretty much this line over here, we're going to see a new higher high again on a GU formed. So that's kind of what I'm looking for another upside push again. Let's see how we react to this supply zone over here. If we can break above this, look for that upside continuation. Otherwise, we could see maybe another short-term downside push from that area of supply. But it's also obviously going to be dependent on the dollar. But the dollar is currently at a resistance level, so that could push GBPUSD up higher. But yeah, I'm waiting personally for the 1-hour fractal structure shift, which is this 1-hour high over here. So let's see if we can break that and then get some more upside continuation from GU and follow the overall fractal structure, because that's what I personally just do when I find it getting a little bit complicated. Going into NZDUSD, NZDUSD took the internal low here on the daily fractal structure. So yeah, I mean, NZDUSD tends to manipulate a little bit more together with AUDUSD as opposed to euro and pound. Looking at NU overall, we are still bullish on the weekly time frame. Here on the weekly, we can see that this weekly imbalance is still currently in control. I mean, the weekly time frame is also still bullish. I am not expecting these dollar pairs to start breaking their weekly fractal lows. So at some point in time, I am expecting a further upside push. The hard part now with this consolidating market is just, okay, where is it going to happen from? So now here on NU, overall, we're kind of like, there's not really any clear demand here. All I can say is that we're now grabbing liquidity underneath this daily fractal low over here. Could we now see the reversal back up higher? Yes, that is definitely possible. So do keep that in mind. I am kind of looking for that to happen, but overall, again, it's very similar to AUDUSD, where the overall structure is just so bearish at the moment, in the sense that the order flow is just so strong down. You can see every single time the buy before the sell, it's just pushing the market down lower and lower. So we should just follow that until we see a real convincing shift in that. We still have this free area of 4-hour demand open. That holds my preference for a reversal. We also have this internal low over here. So I'm kind of looking for this to happen on NZDUSD. So still some further downside would be preferred before looking for any longs. Obviously, if we start breaking the 4-hour fractal high, which is this doji candle over here, then I'll be looking for a double fractal break before getting into any longs. And then we'll start taking out all of those highs again. So that's the plan for NZDUSD. And then last of all, we have gold. Gold itself pushed down lower, pretty much in line with what we wanted. We can see here that we had the daily fractal high break, then we had the daily fractal low break, then we had an area of daily supply over here. We can see that we retraced into that daily supply and then we sold off again. Now we're after the break of structure mark. So this is the break of structure mark. Now what do you expect after a break of structure? After a break of structure, you expect a pullback. After a break of structure, you expect a pullback. So we're looking for that pullback back down in towards a daily overall order flow, back down pretty much into 2790, going towards the 4-hour. And then we identified as well that we had 4-hour fractal structure and 4-hour imbalance / supply as well inside that daily supply zone. So we tap in, and then I was looking for that further downside continuation. I was looking actually on the 1-hour to see the high get taken out again as well, because there was no liquidity in the overall push down. So I wanted this high to get taken out, and then I was going to be happy to get into a short position. But yeah, sadly, we just failed to retrace that high, and we're already pushing down lower. So what I'm now keeping my eyes on is just the 4-hour order flow continuation. For now, the overall 4-hour order flow is this over here. This is now your supply zone. And this is now your protected high, this blue line over there, the new one. And I'll just continue looking for shorts on gold back down into pretty much that level of what I said, 27.80 or 27.90. So that's what I'm looking for on gold at the moment. Some more shorts, but let's wait for it to redevelop because we've just seen a new break of structure. So now we need to see a pullback again before we can get into a new one. So yeah, this is the break of structure line. This is now swing high. This is now swing low. So you want to see at least a retracement back up before getting into new shorts. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Wish you all a fantastic trading day and speak soon.